All right, guys. Well, we finished up multiplication. We're still going to be working on that, in class and stuff. But now we're moving on to some different skills to look at, and we're going to be talking about perimeter and area. Today we're going to focus on perimeter. Well, what is perimeter? Perimeter is the distance around the outside of the polygon. And remember, a polygon is just many-sided shapes. Remember, polygons are squares, rectangles, quadrilaterals, pentagons, hexagons. They're just closed shapes made up of straight lines. And so the perimeter, again, here's perimeter. It's the outside measurement of a polygon. And these blue triangles of this garden show us that. They go all the way around the outside of this garden, and that shows us the perimeter. It's like building a fence around the garden to keep anything out. The perimeter is like that fence that you would build all the way around. Okay? And we're going to figure out how to determine what the perimeter of an object is. And actually, it's really quite simple. It's just simply adding all the sides. That's all you have to do. So if I look here, okay? Alright, we're not going to worry about that down there. But basically, to find the perimeter, the outside of this triangle, all I have to do is add up all the sides. I add 11 plus 12 plus 15. So 12 and 11 would be 23. And then I would add 15. And I would get 38. And the outside measurements can be measured in all sorts of different units of measurement. They could be measured in feet, inches, centimeters, yards, and in miles even. And we're not going to really get into the different measurements, but when you see those different measurements, for instance, if this was labeled with an FT, that means this would be measured in feet, okay? And so you would just remember that in your answers when you're trying to figure out, you want to use the same unit of measurement that is being used in the problem. So in this case, it would be feet, so I would say that the perimeter of this triangle is 38 feet. And really, again, the perimeter is just simply adding all the sides of any object. Let's take a look at some others, like this square. Now, if you remember about a square, all the sides are the same length. So I only have one measurement. I have the measurement of this side. But I can still find the perimeter of this square because squares have all the same length. So if this side is 20, this side would be 20, this side would be 20, and this side would be 20. So I would add 20 plus 20 and so on. I bet since you guys are great at multiplication, you can figure out that if all these sides are 20, what could I do to find the perimeter of this square? Well, remember, multiplication is repeated addition, and this is repeated addition. 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20. There would be 4 20s. So instead of adding all of them up, I could just do 20 times 4, because there are 4 sides and a square, and they're all the same length. 0 times 4 is 0. 2 times 4 would be 80. So the perimeter of this square would be 80. And again, it could be 80 inches, 80 feet, 80 yards, 80 miles, 80 centimeters, whatever the unit labeled in the problem, that's what we'd be. So we could say like centimeters. A little c and a little m for centimeters. And then, if that's the case, then we would just need to make sure that we labeled in our answer that we knew that it was centimeters. And I can keep going. Here's a rectangle. And again, it's simply adding all the measurements. 10 plus 12 plus 10 plus another 12. And I would figure 12 plus 12 is 24. 10 plus 10 would be 20. So 24 and 20 would be 44. And it's that simple. That is exactly what perimeter is. Even if the shapes start to look different like this, you still continue to add all the sides. I would add this side, I would add this side, plus this side, plus this side. So 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 plus 7 is 17. I add 6 more. That's going to give me 23. 23 and 7. So that would be 30. The perimeter of that pentagon would be 30. And we'll say that it's 30 yards. Y for yards. Okay? Now the shapes can look really crazy, like these shapes. And it's still the same thing. You just still add up all the sides. If I want to find the perimeter of this one, I would just add this side. I would just continue adding all the sides. It's really that simple. Just add all the sides until I get my final answer. Same thing with this shape over here. I would just add all the sides. Alright, and that's pretty much it. So I'm going to leave you with this song. Take a look and listen to this song.
Now that we learned how to measure in centimeters and meters, and we talked about inches and feet, that's right. Now we're going to talk about perimeter. You have to measure each side, add them up, and we find perimeter, perimeter. That's perimeter, perimeter, perimeter. That's perimeter. Perimeter, you have to measure each side, add them up, and we find perimeter, perimeter. That's perimeter, perimeter, perimeter. That's perimeter. Perimeter, you have to measure each side, add them up, and we find perimeter, perimeter. That's perimeter, perimeter, perimeter. That's perimeter. Perimeter, you have to measure each side one at a time. Write them down, add them up, and what do you find? Perimeter. That's perimeter, perimeter, perimeter. That's perimeter. Perimeter, you have to measure each side one at a time. Write them down, add them up, and what do you find? Perimeter. That's perimeter. Perimeter, perimeter. That's perimeter. Perimeter, you have to measure each side, add them up, and we find perimeter, perimeter. That's perimeter. Perimeter, perimeter. That's perimeter. Perimeter, you have to measure each side, add them up, and we find